So, hi, everybody that's coming in. Mark, Sawyer, um, lovely to see you.
Speaking of my coaching
Yeah.
class, Sawyer is in my coaching class.
Oh, lovely. Oh, brilliant.
Hey, Sawyer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how long has it been since you left work then?
I quit in February.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I seem
so
to remember your announcement that you were leaving. Um,
yeah, so about 5 months now somehow. It's crazy.
okay.
Don't
Time
know
flies, doesn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
don't know how time went that fast.
Yeah. Hi, Daisy's Doodles. Lovely name, Daisy's Doodles. Sounds like a cartoon character, Daisy Doodle. Lovely. Okay, so I'll introduce myself then. So, for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Sue Reid. My publication is Confidence Matters. So, I'm a master of confidence and self belief now, and I help people to really discover their true self, be aligned with their true self, find their confidence, and to trust themselves better. I started out just basically talking about building confidence, but what I've discovered over the 2 years I've been writing on Substack is that almost 2 years is that you don't actually build confidence, you uncover it. And so that's kind of been revealed to me. And there's an awful lot of things that go into the confidence pot, like accepting yourself, loving yourself, believing in yourself. And I think they all add up to self acceptance, and they all feed into living an aligned life. So that's kind of what I'm working on at the moment. So that's me. Tell us about you, Alex, because this is Alex's second live. He
Yeah,
was a
so
newbie.
so still a little bit of a newbie here. I'm Alex Katsulis, and just for context of this talk, I used to be a patent attorney for a little over 7 years. Quit my job in February. I've been publishing my newsletter here on Substack for I want to say like year and a half, 2 years at this point. I'm trying to remember exactly when I started. It's gone through a little bit of changes, and I'm undergoing a change again right now. It used to be called "Do Selfish Well," with this whole idea of that's a biological fundamental truth that our brains are self-serving and always trying to help us. And
Mhm,
so, how do we look at have that relationship with our brain and our emotions, feelings, and thoughts, and how do we move forward with this brain that's always trying to help us?
mhm,
Um, have recently discovered that a lot of my framework is just a less developed version of internal family systems style stuff, and so now I'm kind of shifting a little bit more towards that way. Um, in the middle of a brand change to the newsletter called Manage Stress, but after I had sent out a survey the last couple of weeks, and in creating the survey and seeing the answers to the survey, now I'm kind of thinking I'm going to pivot again. So it's going to be a short-lived rebranding, um, to be more so just like kind of more broadly like emotional intelligence,
mhm,
education, and commentary, on just like the whatever people are emotionally charged about in the news or on social
mhm.
media. Just kind of just bringing an everyday practical kind of takes on those sorts of things. And
Yeah.
uh, I think I think it'll probably. I don't know if I'm gonna market myself like to men, but I feel like there is a lack of representation of male voices in this kind of space, and so that may be where it naturally goes. But content for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I think my aim is to help women because obviously I'm a woman and I've, been through all the troubles. Um, but I have a lot of male subscribers. I've got a lot of male paid subscribers that come to my circle. So it is for everyone. But I mean, I like the title managing stress because it says what it does on the tin, and your emotional parts and family parts, that all feeds into managing stress because that's what it is at the end of the day. So um I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I actually like that managing stress because there's so many publications where you look at them and you think, I have no idea what you do because it's just not clear enough. So I do like it when it's plain and simple because I believe in plain and simple. Anyway, so there was a comment just now. I'll just move back to it. Tabitha. Oh, hi, Tabitha. Hello, everyone. Pivoting can be wonderful. Yeah, I agree. I love emotional intelligence. I agree with that. And getting the pulse of what's happening now. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree. Emotional intelligence is just so, so important. So, you did you leave because you suffered a burnout then?
Um, yes and no. That'd be kind of like
Mm.
the hesitation there is I certainly was burnt out. Um, I think it would I think I would call it more of like a life burnout
Okay. Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
rather than just
Not just work.
just a work burnout. Um, going into patent law was something that I kinda just backed my way into, or I don't, maybe that's not the right word for it, but, like, from high school to college, didn't really know what I wanted to major in. It's like, I'm good at math and science, why don't I do engineering? And then I'm in engineering, it's like, I don't really wanna be an engineer, this seems kinda too monotonous and boring, at least the kinda engineering I was doing. So then I was like, "Alright, I don't really wanna go to consulting and do that kinda stuff." So, being a patent attorney sounds a little bit more interesting, getting a little
Mhm.
bit more, shaking up the day, getting to deal with different types of technology and different types of stuff. And, that held true, but it was never really I've never really been someone who's just, like, fascinated and passionate about technology and how things work and stuff like that. So I think it was interesting, it was a job, but then just the way that I was in big law, so, like, one of, like, the big law firms, and so just the way that that's structured is just too much. It's, uh,
Mm.
it's it's just too expected of too much, and so this is actually kind of a point I was gonna get into with the burnout, where to me, I would say I kinda think of burnout as there's something driving you to do more than you want to do, or more than you want
Mm.
to and can do. And so I think that that is kinda what it came down to for me. It's like, it's just it was too much work. It was more than I could handle, more intensity that I could handle. And, that certainly it was part that, and part I can't do this anymore just because, like, I don't wanna become partner and have to keep doing all this work. So, like, let's find something that's more aligned with me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
part burnout, part, like, I just need to find something I enjoy more.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you think then, because it was something you didn't enjoy, and obviously the work is very hard in that sort of position, because there's a lot that you got to think about, I guess. I mean, my nephew is a patent lawyer. He is for patent. I can't say that word for medicine,
Mhm.
um, which I think is quite involved. And I know he's constantly stressed. So I do worry about him. But what was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. So do you think the fact that the work was really too much for you, or it was more that you didn't like the job and therefore having to do the work put a strain on you, if that makes sense? Where was the weight, in other words?
It was definitely a little bit of both.
Mm,
Um, it it was very much part that it was, work that I didn't really want, like, I didn't feel too much of a connection to. I didn't, have that much of a passion for, but there were a lot of interesting times. A lot of the problem solving I really liked, kinda like solving a puzzle,
mm,
um, of, like, you draft a patent application, you send it off, and then the examiner usually will reject it. And then you got to figure out, okay, how can I craft this argument, or what can I do here to kind of overcome what the examiner is saying to try to move this thing to so the examiner will grant it. And so there were a lot of aspects I did enjoy of it and like it. Um, but there were a lot of parts where it's just like, okay, doing this again. and again and again
Mm.
and again, like different technology, different arguments, but it still was kind of like the same thing over and over and over.
Mm. Yeah.
Without kind of, and it's like sometimes I would work on technology that I found was interesting, like did some stuff with autonomous vehicle, like image processing, and that was interesting. And but then there's other times where I'm working on like a tiny piece of an engine for a tractor or something. It's like I don't care about this too much. But yeah, but then when you if I was doing what I was doing for, let's say, 5 hours a day or something like that, um that probably would have been like, yeah, this is a job and I do it and then I go
Mm.
do other
Mm.
things outside of work, because it's like someone told me once, work doesn't always have to be your passion, otherwise then your passion turns into work. Um, but so it was more, it was partially also that it was just too much. It was so intellectually intensive
Mm.
work
Like
that it was
draining,
just,
yeah.
yeah.
And how many hours did you find yourself working then?
I like whenever people ask me that, it's like it's not that high of a number. I feel like I would work maybe like 48 hours a week or something like that. Um,
Yeah,
but
but really, really intense, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly, but really intense, because there were plenty of my colleagues that were working more than that, but
Yeah.
they're taking, like, long breaks in the middle of the day, or they were working and then they were going home and eating dinner and relaxing and
Yeah.
then working some more, but I didn't
Yeah.
wanna do any of that, like, I wanted to work out in the mornings, I wanted to cook dinner, I wanted to actually have time to relax and wind down, and so
Mhm.
I was always, like, squeezing all of my work into 9-hour days, trying to bill 8 and 9 hours, with
Mm.
just, like, few breaks in between, and so it's even when I was taking the breaks, it was just me waiting until the break was done so that I could keep doing stuff. It was
Yeah.
more so, like, taking a break because I felt like I, like, needed to take a break, but I wasn't
Yeah.
actually resting.
Yeah. Okay. So what actually was the final, point where you thought, "No, I'm leaving, that's it."
When I finally had a plan of what was next.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big part of it. It's like, I didn't really know what else I wanted to do, so it was didn't really wanna go back to school, so the options were like, do I wanna stay at my firm and become a partner? No. Do I wanna stay at my firm and take a lesser role where I'd be doing the exact same thing, but I'd be working a little bit less and be getting paid
Mhm.
like half or third of what I was getting
Yeah, yeah.
paid for,
Yeah.
or go to a smaller firm and, not really sure what that would have been, or go in-house, but to a company and, like, work as an attorney in a company, but, those jobs are very, very rare because most companies will have, like, 1 or 2 patent attorneys in-house,
Mhm.
and then they'll just, like, send out all of their more complicated, time-consuming work to big law firms, and so those that job probably wasn't gonna happen either, so it was just, "Okay, I don't wanna do the partner route, probably can't do the in-house route, not really sure what going to a smaller firm is gonna get me. So it's okay. Do I want to take this lesser role, get paid a lot less, and do kind of the same thing? And I was like, I don't, it doesn't feel like my body can handle that anymore.
Mhm.
Um, and so it was like, but what else? I have no idea what else would I do. And as I was on my own um, self-discovery, personal growth journey. And then along that whole path, I came to start writing this newsletter on Substack, and then found that I really, really enjoyed exploring
Mhm.
topics, and was really much more passionate about how, maybe not how technology works, but about how humans work and how the brain works, um, and all of that kind of stuff. And so that grew into like, all right, well, do I want to become a therapist? And it's like, I really don't want to go back to school to do that. So then I explored other options and I came across the coaching route. And I was like, I could probably, can't get into the more therapy work, but in the coaching realm, you can still deal with a lot of the same stuff and helping people move
Mhm.
forward. And so once that kind of formulated in my brain, where it's like, okay, I have a next step plan of when I leave this, then that was made the decision a year ago. At this point, actually, it was like last July. where I was like, all right, that's what I can do next. And if I go the like another 40 years of my life and look back and I never tried this, I'll be
Mm.
definitely very disappointed. So I have to at least try it. I can always keep my license active and go back to being an attorney somewhere if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of the point when it's like, all right, I have this next step plan. Now I can just work for the next um it was next like 9 months so I can collect one last bonus and build up a savings account to when
Mm.
I quit and go from there.
Yeah, yeah. So you built up a savings so that you know, well, at least for the next X number of months, years, etc., I'll be okay. But at some point, I need to start making money again, or I'm going to have to go back to working for somebody. So I mean, a lot of people want to start a business. They want to leave their job because they're finding it stressful. They're finding that they're not getting any enjoyment out of it. And so, but they do this one day thing, like, well, one day I'm going to leave, one day I'm going to get a better job. And they dream about it, but they never actually do anything. What does it take for somebody to move from, I don't like my job, I want to leave, to actually saying, right, that's it, I can go now? Is it that formulating a plan and sticking to it? So knowing exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it?
It could be. I feel like it probably varies for different people. Um, for me, there was definitely a large part of it was, well, my neck hurts every single day, the back of my head hurts most of the day, like, my hip hurts, I feel just, like, tight all the time. I'm, like, not sleeping anymore, just, like, in the middle of the day, I can feel, like, how much I need to just, like, lay down and take a nap, but if I
Mhm.
do that, then I'm not gonna get all this work done, and I need to get all
Mm.
this work done. So it was just a lot of, and then, like, coming home at the end of the day and just being too wiped to even, like, wanna do anything. To just, like, just lay on the couch. And it was just affecting so much of my life,
Mm.
that it's like, I cannot do this anymore. I'm someone that, like, I need a plan to be able to move forward to something. It was just a part of me that's like, I can't just quit and, like, not know what I'm gonna do
Mm.
next. Um, and so it was definitely, like, a combination of those 2 things where I was very much needed to leave. Very much my body was just screaming at me
Mm.
to change, do something different. Um, but then, yeah, having that idea of what was next, even if, like, it wasn't for me, it wasn't I had my next job lined up. It was just, I have this plan of what I'm gonna try and do. And,
Yeah.
like, for me, like, not everyone's the same. For me, I was fortunate to have been working in big law for 7 years, and so, like, I did have a savings account that I can lean on for a bit here while I'm trying to build this up.
Mm.
Um, somebody else might need that next job lined up before they can leave and go do something else. Um,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of it is just having that self-care for yourself, that kinda the love for yourself exceeding the, like, need for status or need for a certain amount of money or need for a certain lifestyle um, or just, like, greater than the fear of the unknown.
Mm.
That's kinda what it seems like to me is, there's something there's something underneath that is driving you to the point of where you can't do anymore. And if your self-care, if your self-love can grow to a point of exceeding that, then you can leave. If it doesn't, then you'll kinda just keep going through with it.
Well, yeah, you'll keep going until your body just decides that you're not going to go on anymore, and it'll just knock you down. When I was working full time, and I had quite a stressful job, and I was working long hours, and I got to the point where because I used to work late. I used to work late at work, then come home and work, have my tea, and then work again, then get up early in the morning and do some work before I went to work. And then the cycle just kept going on. And if I went on a holiday, the last day of my holiday was spent looking through my emails, catching up and making sure everything was ready for the next morning. So, everything was about work. My whole life was work. Um, and I got to the point where I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. And I thought, well, I'm managing, but I found because I used to park my car in the park and ride because I used to work in a city centre. So, do you have park and ride? You know what that means? You park your car and then get on a bus into the city.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, basically. So I was finding that going home on the park and ride bus, I was falling asleep before I'd even got to my car to drive home. And I thought, well, this is a bit risky. Um, and then I just read an article. So an article just appeared out of the blue, like they do, on what sleep deprivation does to your body. And it was talking about how over time your organs start to wear out and this happens and this happens. And it was so scary when I read it because I thought, this is me, this is happening to me. That I thought I must do something about it. And it's not that I loved my job, I loved the work. Um, I was good at what I did, but my body was saying, "You were doing too much." And also, I had this thing that a lot of high achievers had, that I had to prove myself. I've always got to prove myself. Um, and but I realized I was doing too much, so I asked if I could move to 3 days a week. And initially, they said no, but I kept on and said, "Well, it's." Because they said, "You can't do your job in 3 days a week." And I said, "Well, I can. I know I can." And I did. Um, I said, "Just let me try it." And so I moved to 3 days a week, which sort of made it a lot easier. And then I stayed for another 3 years, I think. And then I was just before my 60th birthday. So I thought, right, that's it. I'm going now. So it was kind of a transition into retirement more than I'm leaving now. But I definitely noticed the signs of burnout that I just managed because of that article popping up in front of me. I managed to stop it in time.
Yeah, it's definitely it creeps up on you too. Where I mean most of my entire law career, even before I left school, it's like I don't want to go to one of the big law firms because they just work you to death, and I know I don't want that
Mm,
for my life. So I was looking more at trying to go to the smaller firms, the boutique firms that were focused just on intellectual property law and patent law. But then the very first firm that I joined, they had given me kind of pitch during the whole interviewing process of they were like a small law firm culture with big law firm resources, and they kind of were, but at the same time, it was it was still just a lot of work. But through like my whole legal career, it's like, all right, I don't want to burn out, so I'm like pushing against doing. Whereas like other people are gung ho about becoming partner, and it's like, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, and they bill like over 2,000 hours a year and like 2,500 hours a year or whatever. Um, I was never like that. I was like, I need to maintain some of my life here, and yet it's still caught up to me to a point where
mm,
it's like, oh yeah, I think I am kind of burnt out from this now. But
mm,
yeah, it's like what I described before, like more of a life burnout. It's like I don't know that it was strictly just the job. I think it was probably a lot of that. But there was definitely a lot of stuff going on in internal programming that I had been kind of uncovering and trying to reprogram, and so that caused just a lot of instability and whatnot, and so it was a combination of stressed from a lot of different angles, um, that I think ultimately kinda led to that full burnout feeling.
mm. Yeah, yeah. So were you kind of looking at your life and thinking, well, that's not right, and trying to address things. And at the end of the day, it all led back to work and thinking I'm not in a job that makes me happy, and that is now affecting the rest of my life. And so therefore I need to make plans to do something different.
Somewhat, somewhat. I would say it's just I've always been an anxious person, and
Yeah.
so there's always been a lot of that. Always been a lot of like the high achiever, perfectionism, type stuff underneath the surface, and so
Mm,
I think it finally reached a point where it's like I I don't like where my life is heading, and if I just do nothing, it's just like I don't see a reason why it would change at this point. And so yeah, it was a lot of discovering like what are my patterns? What is my programming here? Like why do I feel like this
mm,
during these times? Like reading a bunch of books, listening to a bunch of podcasts, going to a bunch of therapy sessions. And yeah, like in uncovering that, just recognizing like what is actually driving me. And then when I could uncover that part, it's like, all right, well, what if I kind of like set what's driving me aside here, like what is left is what I actually want. And so
mm,
what do I actually want? And it was a lot of figuring that out. And so it's like the things that I want, it felt like my job was holding me back from getting because I was just so tired all the time and so exhausted at the end of most days. And just
mm.
felt like didn't really want to look at my phone, during the day because I was working and focused, and I didn't really wanna look at my phone at night because it was, had just looked at the computer all day, and so it's like, when am I actually, like, communicating with friends and
Yeah.
and other people and
Friends? You had friends?
yeah,
You had time for friends?
yeah, and
Yeah.
so then the weekend would come, and then it'd be like, "Oh, shoot, I didn't, like, talk to anybody this week,
Mm,
so now I got nothing going on the weekend." So yeah, it was making making changes to just like the whole thing.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
the job was definitely a
Yeah.
big factor that was, holding me back from a lot of that.
Mm. Okay. So let's circle back to the title of this slide then, which is why do we push ourselves to burnout? So why do you think people do get to that point? What gets them there?
Well, a lot of different things because people are all
Mm,
different. But as I touched on a little bit earlier, I think there's some kind of internal programming that is driving somebody to, like, push themselves past where they actually wanna be. And then
mm,
and me personally, I'm a very highly sensitive person. So when I'm
mm,
pushing myself past the point of where I want to be or what I can sustain, it just pain all over my body. So um, some people don't experience that. So it's harder for them to detect the fact that they're actually like really pushing themselves past. But for me, I think it's a lot of just like, uh, for me, it was a lot of like low sense of self worth that
mm,
I was compensating for by, um, like, doing really well in school and then getting the job that could give me kinda like a status and money to feel better about myself and also just, like, a little bit of the I don't know if I'd call it, like, full on people pleasing, but some of the fear of disappointing someone else or,
mm,
like so it's like a partner makes a comment on my work or something, and my body immediately reacts with, like, reasons why I did that or something
mm.
like that to kinda, like, defend myself when they're simply just telling me something, that was like, "Yeah, you could do this to improve," and then all it really needed was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind," but it's like my body just reacts viscerally
Yeah.
to, like, something like that, and so there's a little bit there was, like, the desire to achieve, the desire to be perfect, and having the perfection as a shield to hide my true self, which I believed to be, not worthy of other people's, like, attention and love, um, and so it
Believe or believed?
believed.
Believed.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the perfectionism has definitely, has lost its grip a lot, and still shows up for a lot of things,
Mm.
but, definitely lost a lot of its grip. So yeah, it's just like that was underneath and I feel like that all kind of led back to the same thing of just having that low sense of self-worth that I needed to
Mm.
compensate for by achieving and having the status and the money and those sorts of things that would kinda,
Yeah.
like, prop myself up.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, some stress is good for us because it can motivate us and drive us to get things done. But when you talk about the stress that leads to burnout, the real chronic stress, then it's more than not. It's not so much working too hard, it's not getting enough rest. So it's not building your rest periods into your work periods, and not like you say, you didn't have time to phone your friends. You didn't, you came home and just lay on the couch because you were tired. So you're not enjoying the parts of your life when you're not at work, and then you're not enjoying work either. So all of that's building up. I know when I was working like full time, nonstop, I think when I retired, I'd lived in our house here for 20 years, but I hardly knew any of the neighbors. I might know them to look at, but I didn't know which house they belonged to. I didn't know what their names were hardly because I just went out in the morning, came home at night, went to bed, and that was it. And weekends were either resting or doing housework and catching up on the week. So you put your life on hold to do this job that if you drop dead, they would replace you the next day, without, I mean, I'm not saying without another thought, but that's basically what it is because the company's going to roll on without you. That's how important you are. You're just a cog in the wheel. And this is what people don't realize. And I also find that most people's issues, whatever their issue is, most people's issues go back to something in their childhood that's made them believe they're not good enough in some shape or form, like not clever enough, not pretty enough, not likable enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy, blah, blah, blah. All of these different things. And that makes you want to prove yourself because as humans, we fear, one of our biggest fears is being rejected. So you have to prove yourself, prove that I'm a great human and I'm worth loving and I'm worth knowing and you don't want to reject me. So that makes a lot of people work hard and not only work hard, but everything they do has got to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then they'll just leave it until it is perfect. So they procrastinate, they overthink, they repeat conversations in their head. There's all of these things that we do that it's no wonder we get burnt out. We just burn ourselves out. Um, and a lot of it is because we're moving too fast, we're thinking too much, we're focused on proving ourselves too much. And we just need to slow down and take a deep breath and say, I can only do what I can do. I can only juggle so many balls at the same time. I have to take care of myself. But then you've got employers saying to you, well, so and so's achieving it, so why can't you? And this isn't a 9 to 5 job, I used to get that all the time. It's not a 9 to 5 job. Well, I never used to work 9 to 5. Um, you're only as good as your last sale, and lunch is for wimps, the Gordon Gekko expression. I used to have a line manager that used to repeat that all the time. Like, why are you going to lunch? Lunch is for wimps. Sit at your desk and eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah, there's absolutely something to be said for the system that we're placed in, for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I don't like, in the big law world, it's a lot of what you just said. It's this isn't a 9 to 5 job, like, I heard that a ton too, and, like, pretty much every attorney would either eat lunch at their desk or go pick up lunch and then eat it at their desk.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, and, like, whenever there is some kind of office event, like a lunch or something, it's like occasionally there would be, like, a good, uh, turnout of attorneys, but most of the time it was just more so, like, the office staff and the
Yeah.
paralegals and people that were eating lunch with, like, a couple attorneys, and everyone else was just at their desk working. So
Yeah.
there's very much a lot of that, and I felt like the system that they have with like the billable hour and how many hours you have to bill in a year and all that kind of stuff. It's like you either really enjoy the law and the stuff that you do as an attorney, or you are like you don't really feel any of the effects of it. You don't necessarily love it, but you just don't feel the pain or the sleepless nights or anything like that for however reason you're wired, or you burn out.
Mm.
I feel like it's like those 3 options, just
Yeah.
based on what that system is.
Yeah. So what would you say to, so first of all, let's look at what you're doing now. So you've left the job, you've started your business. So you're in training to be what, a life coach?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna call myself a transformational coach.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, same 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 idea. Just like a different word than life coach, just because life coach seems to be the most generic of them all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It doesn't really mean anything. So yeah, so you're a transformational coach and you're helping people manage their stress, but you're building in all the emotional intelligence parts into it as well. So
Yeah.
what would be a typical pain point that somebody would come to you with, do you think? Or have you not got that far yet?
I haven't really gotten that far yet, and that is kind of what I mentioned at the very beginning, where I'm second guessing my
Mm,
rebrand into maybe having it a short-lived rebrand into another rebrand. In that when I was trying to think of pain points that people would come to wanna, like, manage their stress, and then when I was seeing some of the responses in the survey I sent out, um, it seems like the pain points are kinda, like, tough to come by. Whereas it's almost like people stress is just this kind of, like, generic overarching thing.
mm.
People are like, "I'm doing too much and I'm stressed, and I have, like, too much
Yeah,
to do and I'm stressed."
I don't know any more
Um,
than that. I'm just stressed.
yeah,
Stop asking me.
yeah. So, like, what I was kind of trying to dig for with pain points,
Yeah.
um, seemed to be just kinda hard to think of myself. Like, I think the ones that I hypothesized were like, I've tried everything to reduce my stress and I can't do it. And
Hmm.
so, like, what can we do here? And um, something typical, something like that would be like, okay, I resonate with that. That's my experience. So I think what we need to what I can help you with here is let's dig into your internal world here and see
Mm.
what's actually causing, like, what's driving your stress here. Because if you've done all of the normal things and nothing has helped your stress reduce, then it could just be your circumstances, but it could be how you're viewing those circumstances, like through the lens of your brain's programming. Um,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, some other kind of pain points I hypothesized were, um, well, I guess one of them was like I'm new to stress and thinking about stress, so I don't really know where.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just stressed. Just help me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, other one was like, I have too much to do and no one else can do it but me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Common. Which is
yeah,
part of people pleasing. Yeah. I'm stressed, but I don't let anybody else do it because I'm the one that has to do it.
yeah. And I think there was 1 or 2 others, but, are actually here. I think I have it open in a browser.
I think the thing
Uh,
is you and I are on the other side of it now, so we can look back and say, well, yeah, I can see that what happened and that's what I was feeling. But when you are in the middle of that storm and like you were trying to do so many things, so you've got a home to run, you've got a job to go to, you've got all this other stuff, you've got to keep up, and you've got to always be the best you can possibly be, and you're in the middle of it, and there's somebody says to you, what's causing your stress? You're just going to say, well, I'm too busy, I never get a moment to myself. So there's no way I can control that because I have to go to work, I have to look after my children, I have to keep the house clean and blah 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 blah. So unless you can give me some more time, you're not going to be able to help me. That's the problem where people are in the middle of it, they can't really see the other side. um,
yeah, exactly, and that's what kinda leads me to think, like, my whole the reason that I went with stress was because
Mm,
it seemed to be kind of like a vehicle towards working on emotional intelligence and like the, kind of just like, yeah, like the inner workings underneath, that people don't necessarily have, not everyone has that much knowledge about or,
mm,
have worked with too much. And so it can help them build awareness of what's going on underneath so they can actually maybe, address or work on some of that kinda stuff. Um, and yet at the same time, it feels like 'cause the other thing was because like, everyone understands stress. Everyone says, "I'm stressed all the time."
mm,
Like, every time I would bring it up, I would get, like, 4 hands raised, like, "Oh, yeah, I could use that. I'm really stressed." Um, but then, yeah, it's the idea that you mentioned where it's like, people aren't really sure the next step. It's just like, "I'm stressed."
mm.
And
Yeah, I'm
so
stressed, but I don't know what to do about it. Because you could say, "Well, you need to rest more." Yeah, I don't have time to rest. You need to find something you enjoy doing. I don't have time to find to enjoy doing anything. And it all comes back to the time management. But, I mean, it is really a serious thing to try and sort out. So, there's bits where I think managing stress and emotional intelligence collides, if you like, with the confidence matters. In that, and I've written a couple down. So self-awareness. So I would say people need to be aware of how they're feeling, like noticing these signals you get. Your body, like you say, your body was telling you that you're doing too much. You can't stay in this job any longer. Your life is like falling apart around you. You need to sort things out. Your body does send you signals, but not everybody picks them up. So I think we need to be a little bit more self-aware. Um, how did you stay aware of the signals that you were getting? I know you said your body was shouting at you, but how did you kind of, notice that, if you like?
well, I guess it's pretty hard to miss for me because it just came out in pain. Um, so much just back of my head hurt like
Yeah,
most not every days for about 7 years. It's like
yeah,
still does. It's still in the recovery mode. But yeah, it's like right here
yeah,
when I'm sitting in front of a computer would just like hurt all the time.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it was just a lot of pain. And then I've also come to I've come to realize or recognize that some of the back of the head tension and whatnot is it's kind of this part of me that is trying to control what's going on in my life that I don't really have control over, or maybe I do have
mhm,
some control over, but it's like it's trying to help me by controlling things with my mind, and it's making a valiant effort, but it's trying to do something that's not physically possible. And
mhm,
um, so it's that there's that part of it where I've recognized that okay, this kind of comes up when I'm trying to control things. So like, let's take a step back, take a breath, and be like, okay, like I can't control that.
mm,
But like, what can I do here? It's like, okay, I can do like this thing, and then the rest of it is just like out of my control. And that I'm not saying that like just saying those things is like, okay, now it's gone, now I'm good, now I'm like at ease. But just being aware of it and building that pattern, I think just kind of helps build trust with yourself
yeah,
and like with your brain over periods of time of
mm,
just like and this is part of the internal family system stuff that I'm like digging into right now. And
yeah, yeah.
so it's just like building trust with that part that is trying to control things to keep me safe.
Yeah, yeah,
But
because it doesn't think that you can do it yourself, so it doesn't think that you are trustworthy yourself, so you need to build your self-trust and prove to really your nervous system that Yeah, I can keep promises that I make to myself. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do. Like a lot of people will say, "Well, yeah, I'll take a rest at the weekend," and then they'll go back to their work again. So they've just broken that promise to themselves. So your body was thinking, "Okay, we're going to relax now," and then you were off starting work again. So now it's thinking, "Well, actually, I can't trust you. So maybe I'll give you a pain at the back of your neck, and then maybe you'll sit down and take it easy for a while." So the next one I got on my list is boundaries. So we know we want to say no to something. Like maybe your boss says, I need you to do this extra work. And you think, well, I've already got a pile of work on my desk. But you still say, yes, I'll do that because you think, oh, well, if I don't, it's going to spoil my chances for promotion. My boss is going to think badly of me and blah, blah, blah. Other people will think I can't cope, which is really bad. So boundaries is an important one. How were your boundaries when you were at work?
I think my boundaries were pretty good. Um, it's just that putting up the boundary caused me a lot of tension.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, so, like, I felt like the boundaries were up. I would push against things when I felt like I couldn't do it. Sometimes I would take on stuff that I wanted to say no to just because it's like I was the person that had been working on it before, and so it's like,
Mm,
I can't really hand this off or there are certain things like that, but, like, I had email on my phone, but I turned off the notifications, and so I basically just didn't look at email on the weekends.
mm,
And my job was, like, luckily, I didn't really need to. Everything was there was usually no, like, fire that had to be put out, like,
mm,
over a weekend. It's like if I hadn't already been aware of it during the week, it wasn't likely to pop up over the weekend. So I had those boundaries in place, and it's like I didn't look at my email after I left work either.
yeah,
Like, I never took my laptop home unless I needed to, like, work at home the next day or something.
mm,
And so I definitely had the boundaries in place, but the fact that someone was always kinda trying to push past them, and I always had
mm,
kind of, like, reinforce them and push against somebody trying to push over my boundary, um, that definitely caused a lot of tension, and that was part of it. And so I think a lot of that also just still comes from, just if your sense of self-worth is lacking, and you are trying to gain other people's approval in order to
yeah,
bump up your own self-worth, and it's like, that's when your boundaries crumble, because if you don't have that, if your boundary isn't strong because it's set in this deep kinda belief that you deserve to take care of yourself in this way, and it's not even just the self-care, it's like knowing what you need, which also I think ties back into, our other discussion when you were saying, like, how did I keep aware of sort of these other things? It's like
yeah,
when you actually take the time to really do a lot of introspection and get really clear on what it is that you want. Like, I want to go and have, like, dinner with friends on the weekdays, or I want to be able to, like, do something after work where I don't feel just flat out exhausted, or, like, I wanna be able to go on dates and not feel like I'm about to, like, be exhausted and fall over. It's like, I like, it's
Don't
like
go
when
on a date and fall asleep. That would be embarrassing.
so it's like when you're very clear on what you want, then it's also very noticeable when what you have is conflicted with what you want.
Yeah,
And I feel like a lot of people will just go through life, go through the motions where it's just like, this is what I was told that people want. And so, like, I have these things now and I'm just like moving through it. And if they ever actually and so they don't actually know that this tension is kind of coming up where they don't really like what they're doing or like where their life
mm,
is until some certain point in time when it just, like, really builds up and explodes.
yeah. And that's when you start to burn out. And the interesting thing is, I've met so many people that have unfortunately been through burnout. They always come out the other side and they never go back to their original work. They never think, oh, I'm better now, I'll go back to work. They all start something else, usually working for themselves, because they can see working for an employer is just going to get them on that same hamster wheel again. So yeah, it's interesting the revelation that it brings. But that's the point of it. That's your body saying, right, you didn't sort it out. I'm going to sort it out for you. I'm going to knock you down, and then you'll have to start all over again. Um, that's what it does. So the next thing I got is slowing down. So we've really talked about this. This is part of handling your stress, managing the stress, and getting the rest you need and prioritizing it. Don't say, I don't have time. I've got too much work to do. Do the rest as part of that. It's part of your work. Just call it part of this is what I do. I have to go to work and I have to rest. They're both vital because if you lose your health, then you're not going to be able to go to work anyway. And so, you can't say, well, I got to go to work because I got to pay the bills. That's true. But if you lose your job because you're too ill to work, then you've got a problem there as well. So slowing down um, is so what things can you do now that you didn't have time to do before?
Um, just like go on a walk in the middle of the day.
Yeah. It's really simple things. Go on a walk. Like nothing amazing,
Yeah. Yeah,
travel the world.
yeah, in this first 5 months since I quit, I've kinda gone up and down because part of me is like, I'm really excited to start this and, like, try to build the newsletter and do
Yeah.
all these things. It's like I've been waiting a while now to actually do this, so, like, I'm excited to go, but then I found myself falling into the exact same patterns, and so it's like my brain is still too wired for these same exact patterns.
Yeah.
I need to take a step back and be like,
Yeah.
"Okay, like on the top of every hour, I'm actually going to take like a 15-minute break, or I'm going to, in the middle of the day, I'm going to take like a true hour and a half lunch break to just eat lunch, maybe watching a TV show, maybe listen to a podcast, and then go for a walk, and come back and then do a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just at the end of the day, for the most part, unless I have a day where I just got too focused and ignored all of my signals from my brain to tell me to stop and take a rest. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I actually feel not quite as worn down. My sleep has still not gotten any better. So some days I do just still feel exhausted just from that, but
Yeah.
not from work to the point of where like, I don't wanna keep my eyes open, or I don't wanna interact with anybody at all.
Yeah.
Um, it's not to that point anymore, so, yeah, it's still something in progress for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because you are starting something completely new. And like you say, you've got that part of your brain at the back, which is where your fear centers are, I think. Um, the reptilian part of your brain, the older part of your brain, is constantly looking out for danger. And now you're starting something new, and you've said I suffer from anxiety at times. So that part of your brain is thinking, "What are we doing? Hang on a minute, this is so dangerous," because it really, really worries. So it's understandable that you are finding yourself. It's difficult to settle into it and get like a better routine. And there's also the fact that when we have had a career where we've been a high achiever and we've been a perfectionist, to now have to start something where you're starting from the beginning. So anybody that's starting at the beginning of something isn't normally very good at it initially. So you're going from I was up here, now I'm down here. I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
it. Again, your brain's saying, "Why are you doing this? This is stupid. Get back up there again."
Yeah, for sure. I've found I have come to terms with the fact that I can't just rest. Like, I can't just be like, "Alright, it's time to just sit here and rest my eyes for a little bit." Like,
Mm.
I just don't rest that way.
Okay.
It's so I need to go do something that takes my attention onto that something else.
Like the
Uh,
walk. Yeah.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
walk or like a tapping meditation, or I have a mini basketball hoop on my door and I'll just like shoot some hoops, or something that keeps my mind off of the same old thought process. It changes it to
Mhm.
something else, lets it relax. So if I'm not doing that, then I'm kind of just I'm just waiting until the rest period is over, and it's not actually rest.
Yeah. Oh, good. I can get back to work now.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough of this resting. So the next one on the list I've got is asking for help. Again, this is something high achievers find it very difficult to do, is to ask somebody to actually help them because it automatically makes us feel like we're weak and people will reject us because we're not very good at what we do. Um, how did you find asking for help when you were at work?
Um,
I found it extremely hard. I still do now. I still find it hard to ask for help.
yeah, it's I guess the reason I'm hesitating to answer this is it's like for the first however many years, the first like 4 or 5 years or something of my career, um, you just like you didn't really ask for help. It was kinda like occasionally if you're like, "Hey, I have too much right now. Can we hand this off to someone else?" But
Mm,
it was usually more like you have your work and you do your work.
mm,
Um, and if like you're too buried, you can refuse new work when somebody like tries to offer it to you. And you're like, no, I'm too full. And they're like, okay, I'll find someone else.
mm,
Um, There there reached at a point I was in, like, a kind of a little bit of a different situation than maybe some other attorneys, but you reach a certain point where it's like, "Okay, now I can hand stuff off to younger associates and have them do some of my work to help." Um, that I didn't really get the opportunity to do until, like, my last 2 years of law because I switched law firms when I was a 3rd year, and I was kind of, like, just starting to be at that point where I was handing off work to some younger associates, but I switched law firms to a firm that didn't have that many, younger associates, and all of them were in other states, and so, like, I didn't really have that kind of, like, relationship with them, and I was also starting from scratch, so I was starting to build my own workflow before I ever even had enough to pass off to other people.
mm.
But I'd say in the last 2 years, it was very easy for me to hand off work because I didn't wanna do it. But it was very hard for me, in the kinda the process of trying to review their work and letting what they did be good enough, even though it's
Mhm,
not exactly the way that I wanted it to be. That was difficult, trying to figure out like the line of what was enough because it felt like there'd be times where I'm like, okay, I think this is good enough, even though I feel like we might be missing a few things. Good enough. And we would send it to the partner, and the partner would respond with like, "Why didn't we do this?" And it's like, well, I'm trying to find that line of what's good enough. I'm trying. I thought this was good enough, but I recognize it's not the same quality of work I would have given.
mm,
So it was walking that line was difficult. And I think it's if anyone's kind of navigating that at the beginning, it's a learning process, just like everything else. I think I started to get a little bit better over the year and a half or so that I was handing off work, but it was kind
mm.
of tough because the people I was handing off work to were very inexperienced, and
Right,
so
yeah,
they still needed a lot of hand holding in helping them kind of get it correct or in the way that we want it.
yeah. And
But yeah,
then you think, "I wish I'd done it myself now."
yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
there's definitely a challenge, something to learn, but
mm,
a skill like everything else, and so it's like if you kinda just I feel like it all just goes back again to it's like if you have more of a clear picture of what you want and what you're currently doing isn't allow you to do that, then it's like, do you have the self-care and the self-worth enough to be like, "Okay, how could I, um" maybe hand off some of this work or how
mm,
could I achieve what I actually want here, even if it's uncomfortable, even if
yeah,
it takes a bit of time to get used to it. And some of that could be get asking someone to help do some of the stuff and getting used to being okay with them not doing exactly how you want. Or
yeah,
if
yeah,
you have the means, maybe it's you hire somebody to clean your apartment or clean your house or something, even though maybe it makes you feel uncomfortable that you're spending.
You
Uh,
probably you clean the house before they come round in case they think it's dirty. That would be me.
yeah,
Um, so before we finish off then, if somebody's watching this and they thinking to themselves, "Well, actually, yeah, I do work hard and I don't have a lot of time for myself." What one thing could they do starting from tomorrow to start making changes?
I would say I would say the thing that I touched on a little bit is just like start reflecting on maybe just take like 15 minutes or something and just start thinking and reflecting, writing down, saying out loud, like what is it that you like want in
Mm,
your daily life or on your weekends or something like that that you're not currently doing. It's just like no notice your it doesn't necessarily have to be in that moment. Like you sit down and you give your time space to give yourself space to think. But then that could also come at any point in time. Like if you're walking through a park and you see somebody doing something and like this, you get this feeling in your chest of like, oh, that looks so exciting. And it's like mark it down in your phone or something like that. Like just notice the moments throughout your day where it's like or like when you're listening to someone tell a story and they say something and you might go like, "Oh, I wanna do that, but I don't have time." It's like, well, write it down, and then when you kinda have a clear picture of that, then evaluate and see like, "Okay, how can I make the time? How can
yeah,
like, how what would have to be involved for this?" Just,
yeah,
objectively, not like it's like, not that this is what you're doing, like, it's not that, like, this is what you have to do in order to make this happen, it's just like, what would have to happen? What needs to
yeah,
happen? And then look at those sorts of things, and it's just like, "Okay, can I do this? Like, is this possible? Like, can I hire that cleaner? Like, do I have room in the budget? Or can I do this?" But
mhm,
I think having that clarity on what is it that you actually want that you're not getting right now because you might be feeling like you're working too much or burning out, I think is definitely a good first step.
definitely, definitely, yeah, definitely thinking, looking at your day and thinking, well, like you say, what is it I would like to do that I'm not doing? And then just ask your brain, how can I start to do that? Because once you ask your brain a question, it will try and work out an answer for you. So then you've got to look out for the synchronicities, and the way to do it will be shown to you if you ask for it enough. Um, and ask like you mean it as well. Don't say, "Oh yeah, well when I've got enough time." Just say, "No, this is what I want to do," and then your brain will. How can I do that? Your brain will look for that. And the tip I would say is to do the thing that you said you find really hard, but to keep doing it until you can do it. And that is just sit for 10 minutes and just do nothing. Just look out at the clouds, watch the birds in the park or the garden or whatever. Just sit for 10 minutes doing absolutely nothing. It will change your life because it's a reset for your brain. It just quietens everything down. It's like pressing the reset button and you just shut down for a minute and then you reboot and go back to work. That's gold doing that. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you wished I had?
I don't think so. I think we touched on everything that had kind of popped into my head when you proposed this topic. Um, the one thing that I will add though to your suggestion, just because
Mhm.
I've been this person where I did at one point in time, I can sit for 10 minutes and do nothing, and
Okay.
it's I like it. It's good. Like I'm a person that can do that. For a lot of people that struggle with that more, or during the times when I was like really kind of stressed and my mind was racing about what I had to do next, then it becomes a bit more difficult. And so I've really found that EFT tapping, the emotional freedom tech
Mhm.
meditations, um, have been incredibly helpful to pull my mind away from the ruminating thoughts, away from the stress into the actual practice where you're listening to somebody saying things and you're repeating them and you're tapping on these acupressure points on your body that are proven to actually like reduce and calm your nervous system. And so uh, I would just add that I've been there. I know when sitting for 10 minutes feels like you're just sitting there for 10 minutes and nothing's happening. Like you don't
Yeah,
feel any calmer. You don't feel any like any refreshment. I've found that the EFT tapping is really good.
cool. Okay. Okay. So, that's just an hour, just over. So it's been really, really lovely talking to you. Good luck with everything. Um, just, take it step by step and keep moving forward. You'll get there. But yeah. Um, and yeah, thank you everybody for being here, and thank you for anybody that watches the replay. It's been great. So take care of yourself, Alex. Is there anything you wanted to say at the end?
Just thank you, Sue,
Welcome.
for yeah hosting this live and coming up with the topic, and it's been a great conversation.
Yeah,
I've enjoyed talking with you about all the different facets of burnout. Hopefully, somebody can watch the recording, or someone who's watching right now can take a tip or two away from it.
definitely, definitely. If anybody wants to has got a question or wants to ask anything else, just contact either of us, and we'll answer it for you. So yeah, okay. Take care, everybody, and see you soon. Cheers, then. Bye.
Bye.